Howdy folks, TJ here. Maybe something a little different today. Instead of doing geeky computer stuff and playing video games, let's chat about old Volkswagen and Volkswagen buses. This is not actually a Volkswagen, but it's a little knick-knack novelty thing that over the years I've collected. People have purchased gifts for me. And I just thought it would be fun to start out with a little picture of a bussy, Volkswagen-y looking thing, because this video is going to be all about Volkswagen. I'm starting to get in the mood. It's springtime. When the spring starts coming up, I start picturing myself driving in. And when you're driving a bus, it's not like this. It's like this. You're kind of like a bus driver. You actually feel like a bus driver when you're in an old Volkswagen bus. But I'm getting in the mood. It's been a long time since I've been able to enjoy my Volkswagen bus because I stink as a Volkswagen mechanic. I'm going to come right out and say it. I'm a home do-it-yourselfer. Before buying Volkswagens, I did a little wrenching. Nothing major. I think before that, replaced a radiator that went out in a Toyota truck that I had. Little silly things. But I never really got into wrenching until I started getting older. In the 2000s, I started looking in the Volkswagens, purchased my first. Now it's 2024. I have owned many old Aircooled Volkswagens with one only left because over the years, life gets in the way, room starts being less, and I got rid of a lot of my Volkswagens, but one. One is, I call it the keeper. I really wanted to keep two, but again, space was a thing. I decided to move on from my very first Volkswagen I purchased. And we're not talking water-cooled here, we're talking air-cooled, was a 1960 single cab pickup. I should have kept it, but it would have been, I enjoyed it for a little while, and then I started wrenching on it, took out the engine, and then it sat. And then it sat. And then life got in the way, and other hobbies got in the way, and need of money came in the way, all those things. And then I've had all these other Volkswagens. I've had Volkswagen Thing. I've actually owned two Things before. I've never owned a Bug, believe it or not, other than a modern one. Water-cooled, we still have a 2010 final edition Beetle. And then we also, prior to that, owned a 2001 TDI Beetle that 50 some odd miles to the gallon, a diesel. Amazing vehicle. But ended up having an issue with it and moved on from it and then purchased the 2010, which we still have. But this is all about air-cooled. I've been belaboring, is that the right word here? I've been slowly, decrepitly working on a Volkswagen bus that I have. I have a 1967 Westie. It's my last Volkswagen, the keeper. I told the wife, I don't want to ever get rid of this. Even if money and shit hits the fan, I've had to get rid of all my other toys. This is the one I want to keep. Just because it's a Volkswagen bus camper, Westfalia. It has good value, and it also is just cool. Even though I loved my single cab, and I actually used it. I mean, I even went so far as having to pick up a dead buck that died on my property, and me and my wife lifting it up, putting it in the back of my single cab, and taking it to the dump, because that's where you actually had to dump carcasses of animals. So I actually used any Volkswagens I've had. They were users. They weren't ones that just sat, what do you call them, trailer queens? Never a trailer queen here. But yeah, long story short, I'm in the mood. And part of it is because I'm kicking myself for being a lame mechanic, a slow mechanic, and I'll get the vehicle running, and then I'll go, okay, but this needs to now be fixed. And I barely enjoy it for a month or two, and then I break it down, and then it sits. And it sits because winter comes, and I don't have a heated garage. It's colder than snot. I'll admit it, I'm a wimp. I don't want to go out there and bust a knuckle in freezing temperatures. And it's non-electric. I call it my Amish garage because there's no electricity out there. There's no heat. I can't put any spot heat on me, and I just don't. And then I've got other hobbies. Look around me. I've got computers up the yin-yang. And if you had to say, TJ, what do you prefer doing? Wrenching on an old Volkswagen or playing with your vintage computers? I'm going to have to say, even though my Volkswagen friends would say, you're an idiot, but I love my retro computers. I'm a nerd. I'm a big nerd, and I love my Ataris, my Sinclairs, and all of the computer stuff I own. And it's relatively fun. You just turn like this and enjoy and play. You don't bust your knuckles. You don't get hurt. and it's enjoying a thing. I enjoy wrenching and learning, but I don't at times because it's very expensive when you make mistakes. And just having fun, if it's going out to do an oil change, that's fun. If you're going out because there's a problem and it stopped running and you're trying to figure it out, that's when it can get a little bit more of a pain in the ass because I don't have the skills as of yet to fix those type of issues, but I will learn, and I do post questions on thesamba.com. That is the place to learn about old air-cooled Volkswagens, and you post a note up there and say, what could this be? And they'll recommend some things, and I'll read the manuals, and I'll go out there and I'll try it and I'll fix it. But all that takes time because, again, I'm a lame mechanic, and I'll admit it, I'm a little lazy sometimes when it comes to working on vehicles. I'm not lazy when it comes to retro computers. I'm an Energizer bunny, damn it. I get shit done. I make videos, I play, and I enjoy. But again, it's a very fun hobby. Volkswagens, to me, is kind of one of those 3/4 I love it, but the other quarter I enjoy mechanicking, but I lack the funds to really do it seriously. So it kind of sucks when you have to spend hundreds of dollars on something that you'd rather pay on something that you want to enjoy using. Because, shit, I want that son of a bitch to work forever. I don't care that you're 60 years old. I want that to last forever. Anyway, this is mostly a chat video and an unboxing video. I've got a box from, if you know Volkswagens, you know CIP. And that's sometimes considered cheaper stuff. Other times they sell quality stuff. Let's talk about where I buy my stuff from so you don't think I just buy from CIP. I buy locally first. If I have a nice little hole in the wall, not Volkswagen specific, but vintage vehicle parts for imports company here where I live. And even if they have to order it, I'd rather pay them an extra $5 or $10 to keep them in business rather than buy it super cheap online. Because, yeah, let's face it, I could go to Amazon and buy everything cheaper than I could buy locally. But then I won't have local places to go and shop, which sucks on a Saturday or Sunday where you want something now. You don't want to have to wait a freaking day or two or whatever Amazon does. I buy my fair share from Amazon and online, but I buy locally first. Most of the time. Let's say 3/4 of the time. I'll go in there, as long as they've got part of my order now, then I'll go ahead and they'll say, oh, can I order this and we'll get it in a week or two. Fine, let's do it. Give them the business, perfect. But there's other times, there's things like one of the things I purchased in here, highly doubtful that they would have, and it was specifically one I wanted to have, and they would probably have an astronomically high price on what's in here because I purchased, it's probably a knockoff. I don't know if it's made in Brazil. I don't know if it's made in China. It's one of those unique items that we'll talk about in a second because my 1967 Volkswagen bus is a 1 year only on some parts. One of them being the master brake cylinder. It's a 1 year only part. So in my explorations many years ago, if you were trying to find a master cylinder cheaply and readily available, it was a little hard. Sometimes people would be out and it would take them a while to get. It wasn't one of those common bug things that everybody's got them in stock always. It's a unique thing. So there's parts like that in the case of the local place, yeah, he wouldn't have had it. He would have had to order it from probably the same place I did. And there weren't a whole bunch of other things that they didn't have any of it in stock. Everything I wanted to buy, they had none of it. So at this point, I'm ordering online. So I ordered from CIP. I order my stuff from Wolfsburg West quite a bit. I purchased a whole bunch of brake lines for my Volkswagen bus I'm working at. And that's one of the reasons why it's still not running. I fixed the front brakes. They were doing great. I enjoyed my bus for 2 months, like a year and a half ago. And then I took it apart to start on the rear brakes. And it has not been fixed since because life got in the way. I'm lazy, all those things. Finally, I'm getting a fire under my ass because I want that bus running and I want to enjoy it somewhat this summer. So let's open a box. So I purchased from CIP some stuff. They typically, they can have a sale, and that's why I got this here. And I'm just hurting for money right now. State Farm in the state of California is completely just getting rid of anybody that has house insurance. They don't want you anymore. I've been a State Farm customer since I was 16 years old. I'm getting near 60. 40 years a customer, and they just pull the carpet underneath. About 3 weeks ago, they said, well, sorry, but all that money you've given us over all these years, we're not going to renew you. And they don't give you any of the money back. So all this money I've been putting in as a insurance plan to cover, the house, they said, nope, you're not going to be renewed, and you get nothing back. You know what I say to that? Sorry. But yeah, truthfully, I think it should be illegal for a company, an insurance company, that takes hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars from people, that you put in a coffer, that if you have an issue, you're covered. If you don't have an issue, wonderful. Your house never burnt down, you've been hunky-dory. But you put money in a pot that helped somebody else. Now they're just taking the money and run. State Farm made like $133 billion last year as a profit. But since they didn't make enough money in California, they gave us the big thumbs down and said, you're out of here. So screw you, State Farm. You suck. You should say, okay, we're going to terminate you. That's fine. But we're going to take some monies and give it back to you as a sorry we're doing this to you. But no, they just keep it. They do whatever the F they want. And California sucks. Anyway, I'm a little pissed at that because our insurance is about to go up 3 times. It's went up 3 times already to get to the point we're at now because State Farm's been raising it. Now they're terminating us. We have to go to California Fair Plan, which is 2 to 3 times higher than what we're paying now. I'm going to be paying, it's almost as much as the mortgage. Okay, CIP1, I'm excited. My Volkswagen, I'm going to work on it. CIP1, let's open the box together. And this is a Volkswagen chat, me telling State Farm to F off because if you, I'm going to stop. I've already said that. They should, okay. So let's, do I need to slit this box more? So anyway, the box is not that big. What I ordered was a total of $100. So it wasn't tons of stuff. If I would have bought it locally and they would have ordered it, they would have ordered the same thing to me and then doubled the price. And like I said, right now money's an issue because we're about to have to pay a lot of out-of-pocket money. I'm going to take everything out of this box and then show you what I ordered. And you're only going to enjoy this if you're a Volkswagen nerd. If you're not a Volkswagen nerd, you probably don't care about this, and you stopped watching about 10 minutes ago. I don't know if I even started this recording. Anyway, let's start out with this. What did I order? This one's made in China. What is it that I ordered here? I don't remember ordering. Oh, yes, I did order this. We'll show this afterward. No, we'll show this now. So I mentioned the word master cylinder earlier. So they have a reproduction master cylinder, 1 year only. It works in a 67 bus. I think it also worked in some other Volkswagens. But their particular one, you can't use your reservoir bottle from the old master cylinder that I'm taking out of mine, which is a stock. I don't know if it's the original or not. But I had to purchase a new reservoir for it. I forget what this was. This like 20-something bucks? Something like this. So a new reservoir for my new master cylinder. So looks cherry. Cool. So reservoir, that's item number 1. This was made in China. I'm fine with stuff in general. There's some good quality stuff that you can get from China. There's some shitty stuff you can get from China. There's wonderful things you can get in the USA. There's shitty things you can get in the USA. You can say that to everybody. Okay, next item. A Volkswagen 67 has no radio in it. There's a big hole where the radio goes, and there's things called a radio delete plate or block-off plate. I finally decided they have one. I don't know where this is made. It doesn't say. This is a reproduction, I think, that CIP1 maybe makes. But this is a radio block-off plate, so I can cover that hole that's in my dash. Now, the only icky thing now that I look at it, I didn't see it in the picture of the one I ordered, but there's little holes on here. Those little holes are meant to allow a chrome piece to push in here, and the chrome piece is made more for like a beetle. I don't know if was there any chrome on any of the buses, like the deluxes or anything? 67 that would have had a chrome thing that goes in the front. But needless to say, I've got little holes now. So I guess I'm just going to have little holes in the radio block-off plate, or I can put some little stickers. Maybe I can find a little emblem or something. or one day buy a frickin' radio for the thing. You dumbass. Okay, what's next? Okay, so I'm doing my brake work. Like I said, the rear brakes works now. I've replaced not every single metal line that's in my brake system, but a lot of them. Almost all the rear ones are being replaced now. In fact, all of them are being replaced in the rear. And the ones in the front, I think I still have the original ones. They were in pretty good shape. And the long one that goes from the front to the back, that's original too. But I purchased a complete Wolfsburg West set about a year ago. And so I'm replacing all the rear lines while I'm in there, because this is a more take everything apart, put it back together again. Some of the metal lines I had to cut the hose to even get the things off, and they looked nasty. So I said, we're going to replace the metal lines. And I had to bend a lot and a lot of tweaking. I got a little bender out. And so metal lines, just so you know, if you're not a mechanic or a do-it-yourselfer, the metal line doesn't come pre-bent for you. Of course not. It comes in one straight line, and you've got to get a tool to bend it. I actually find it kind of fun to bend metal lines. It is. I'll sit at my kitchen table for an hour and get the old one and put the new one next to it and bend and match and bend and match and do that whole thing, and then go out and see if it's going to fit where it's supposed to go. I find it kind of therapeutic in a way. The hardest one, though, is the brake line that goes over the transmission in a bus. I didn't take my engine out or anything, but you got to really reach up there. And then I actually blew out my shoulder reaching up and around to try to get to a bolt that was up in there or something. And I tweaked my shoulder one day, heard a pop, and I had to go to the doctor. That was the first time I had to do physical therapy after screwing up my arm. Anyway, that brake line took some really interesting bends, and it had to go over the transmission. Anyway, so I'm doing brake work. So along the way, there's these. I have to look at them first. Let me look at one. This doesn't match the picture. It might. Let me open it up. I got to pick my nose for a second. Let me take one out. I purchased these because they're little grommets, rubber. Yeah, it doesn't exactly match the picture. It looked like you could stick these on after the metal was in, the metal line. They're supposed to be like a slit. Oh, there is a slit. Okay, so these are little rubber. What's the proper name for it? Is that name on here? No, it's not. How about on here? Yeah, they call it a grommet, so I was right. So these are rubber. So where the metal line goes through on the back of this Volkswagen bus, these were completely missing. There's just a big hole in a piece of metal that the metal line goes through, and it can clink and clank and possibly rub against something. Technically, it shouldn't if it's put in there, but these rubber things go in this hole and stay put, so the metal line goes through that hole and then stays in place. Man, that hole is small. Anyway, so the metal pipe goes through there. At least I hope the pipe will go through. I'm going to have to ram that son of a bees weasels in there. But anyway, so what I liked about these is you can put them in after the fact. So even if your metal line is in, there's a little, you just pull it apart, and that means I can do that and put it over the pipe and then push it into where the hole is, and then use a little screwdriver or something to kind of pop it in, and there's little seams here. I don't know if this shit's picking up. Probably my face is in the way, so it's probably focusing on that. Anyway, so yeah, I got a set of 8 of these because their website, I think, said 8 on a bus. I just went ahead and purchased 2 packs. They were relatively cheap. So little grommet thingies. So cool. The last thing is the master cylinder. So repro. This is a reproduction. And I seem to remember many years ago me looking at these things would go for $200-300 for the real deal. This one was normally $89, and CIP was having a March Madness sale. It was like $49.95. So I go, you know what? I'm just gonna buy one, even if I don't replace this, because I'm just gonna get the rear brakes done. Because if I go and replace my master cylinder in this excursion too, the bus will be up on the lift for even longer. So I'm going to finish my back brakes, rebleed everything, and then I have to fill the transmission all up again, because when you do the back seals, I'm doing all of the seals and everything, all the oil's been drained. So I'm going to have to refill the transmission, put all new fluid in, but get it running again, get on the road, enjoy it for the, hopefully, part of the summer, and then the next time I take things apart will be just to replace this, which means I'm slow and lazy, and it might take a while. But anyway, here's the box that it came in, and I'll show you the part here in a second. Again, unless you're a Volkswagen nerd, none of this has made sense. None of this probably you care about, but I'm making a video about it anyway, and I'm having a fun time chatting with you. But let's take a look at this master cylinder. It doesn't say any place on the box where it's a reproduction. You know, a lot of times parts that are reproduction, some of them, you know, come from Brazil because there's still a pretty big life of Volkswagen Aircooled down there. Mexico and all those places. So anyway, let's take this out of the baggie. Oh, yep. And I'm sure that, I don't know, it's definitely not German quality. But here's what the it's a dual cylinder, master cylinder for a Volkswagen bus. This is a 67 only, and this may work on some other Volkswagens, like I said. But you know, it looks like a master cylinder. Is there any stamping on here that says made by Guido in XX something? No, there's not. But this is a reproduction, needless to say. And it looks fine to me. At this point, quality is, you know, I try to buy quality as much as possible. But for $50, I couldn't pass on just getting this. Even if it's just to have in case my main one blows out and I have to replace it. Or at some point, I may just go ahead and say, you know what? Let's go ahead and put this in. I did ask somebody on the Samba, and I said, anybody happen to have purchased the one from CIP, the reproduction, and what your thoughts are? One person replied they did. They're going on 6 months, and it's been working perfectly fine, and there was no problems putting it in with the new reservoir, all that stuff, so it should be fine. It's not like I'm putting bazillion miles on my old Volkswagen bus, but anyway, that's the video. So in this video, I talked about Volkswagen lighting a fire under my ass, telling State Farm to F off because, really, State Farm, you made $133 billion profit, okay? So what you do is you say, okay, we don't want to be in California anymore, but these people have spent a lot of money in the coffer, putting it in the pool to help support them or somebody else should there be a problem. If you remove somebody from that pool just because you didn't make 10 more cents than you wanted to, you need to give those people back some of the money. There should be a law that says if we are terminated because you just want to, not because we are not paying you or something. I paid you every month. I've never been late on a payment. But if I pay, you know, you should not be able to just cancel and say F you and not give you some of the money back. Fine, take what I've spent over 40 years with you, deduct the windshields I replaced on my cars a number of times, those little things that added up to whatever thousands of dollars it is, and then, you know, it's fine, keep some of the money yourself because there was insurance during that time and you covered us, and for whatever reason, you should keep some of it. But you should also give back to me and to all these other people you're terminating that have paid you loyally for all these years some of the money back. And by not doing that, I feel you are thieves. Thieves, damn it. You should not be able to legally do that. But you guys you pay each other politicians and you pay them so you can do whatever the fuck you want. Okay, that's it. Enjoyed this video, hopefully. I probably just gained some subs, lost some subs, and I'll be right in the middle like Jerry Seinfeld issue. Or Jerry Seinfeld show that was Even Stevens. You get something, you lose something, but you always stay right in the middle. That's what I do. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully the next video will be that I'm talking more about actually working on my bus. This Saturday, I'm going to go out there. I bent a line a few days ago. I'm going to go and clean up the backing plate. There's all sorts of shit on there because they were leaking. Clean that off, and I've got all new brake components. And actually get that backing plate back on, the seal. I got this new metal, I think it's considered a seal, and the rubber O-rings. Get that all in, and at least get the backing plate and all that back on. I'll feel like I did something. And then the next thing, I can go ahead and get all the brake components on, the new shoes and the the brake cylinders and all those things. A little by little. That's what I'm going to do. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. And State Farm, I don't like you. Goodbye.